They say trust is the foundation of a marriage. That without it, everything falls apart. But what happens when trust is nothing more than an illusion? What happens when you wake up one day and realize that the person sleeping beside you, the person you built a life with, has been living a double life right under your nose? I never thought I'd be the kind of man to doubt my wife. I never thought I'd be the kind of man to check her phone, question her late nights, wonder who she's really texting when she tilts the screen away just slightly. But life has a funny way of turning you into someone you never thought you'd be. And let me tell you something, nothing prepares you for the moment you realize that the love of your life has been lying to you. I remember the exact moment the first seed of doubt was planted. It was small, subtle. Barely there. But once doubt takes root, it grows. It spreads. And before you know it, it consumes everything. It started with little things. A shift in her routine. A change in the way she smelled when she came home. A certain lightness in her step on days she was supposed to be exhausted. At first, I ignored it. Told myself I was overthinking. Told myself I was just being insecure. But the mind is a dangerous thing. It remembers. It collects clues, pieces them together, even when you don't want it to. And soon, those little things became impossible to ignore. She was different. Distant. Yet, somehow, happier. Not because of me. No. I hadn't done anything different. If anything, I was doing more. Trying harder. And yet, she was slipping further and further away. Then came the lies. Small ones at first. Oh, I was just with Sarah. Oh, I lost track of time. Oh, my phone died. And every time, my gut twisted just a little bit tighter. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. But the nights grew colder. The kisses felt emptier. The love started to feel like a memory rather than something real. And then, one night, I made a decision. A decision that would change everything. I installed a camera in her car. Not because I wanted to catch her. Not because I wanted to prove her wrong. But because deep down, I needed to prove myself wrong. I needed to see that I was just being paranoid. That she was still the woman I married. That I was still the man she loved. But when I saw that footage, my entire world shattered. Everything I thought I knew, everything I believed in, gone in an instant. What I saw on that screen, I can never unsee. And now, I'm sitting here, telling you my story. Because maybe, just maybe, you've been here, too. Maybe you've felt this gut-wrenching suspicion. Maybe you've laid awake at night wondering if the person next to you is truly yours, or if they belong to someone else. And if you've ever had that feeling, I need you to hear me when I say this. You are not crazy. You are not paranoid. And sometimes, the truth is far worse than your worst fears. This is my story. And trust me, you won't believe what happens next. Subscribe to Shocking Infidelity Cases right now, because this is just the beginning. I never thought my marriage would come to this. We were happy once. At least, I think we were. I used to wake up every morning, roll over, and see her sleeping beside me, her hair splayed out across the pillow, her face peaceful. I used to think, how did I get so lucky? She was my best friend. My partner. The woman I swore to love and cherish for the rest of my life. And for years, I did. I worked hard to give us a good life. I wasn't rich, but I made sure we never went without. I took pride in being a provider, in knowing that I was building something solid for us, for our future. But somewhere along the way, something changed. At first, it was small. So small I almost didn't notice. She started dressing differently. Nothing too obvious. Just small changes. A little more effort in the mornings. A little more perfume before she left the house. New clothes. Clothes I hadn't seen before. She started going out more. Errands, she said. Meeting up with the girls. I didn't think much of it at first. Everyone deserves a life outside their marriage, right? That's what I told myself. That's what I wanted to believe. But then came the nights she didn't come home until late. The messages she'd glance at and quickly tuck her phone away. The way she'd turn slightly when she typed, just enough so I couldn't see. It was subtle, so damn subtle. But something inside me, something deep in my gut told me something was wrong. She stopped laughing at my jokes. Stopped touching me. Stopped looking at me like she used to. And the worst part? I couldn't even be angry. Because when I looked at her, I saw a woman who was already halfway gone. I remember sitting at the dinner table one night, just the two of us. The house was quiet, too quiet. I watched her push food around her plate, not eating, lost in thought. And I realized something. I missed my wife. I missed the way she used to lean into me on the couch, tuck her legs under mine. I missed the way she used to look at me, like I was the only man in the world. I missed the way she used to hold my hand for no reason at all. But that woman, the woman I fell in love with, was slipping away. And no matter how hard I tried to hold on, she was slipping through my fingers. I remember one night, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling while she lay beside me, scrolling on her phone. I turned to her. "Babe, are we okay?" She hesitated. Just for a second. "Of course we are," she said, without looking up. But I heard it. That tiny crack in her voice. A lie disguised as reassurance. And that's when I knew. Something was wrong. I just didn't know how bad it really was. That night, I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the sound of her breathing beside me. Even in sleep, she felt distant. I told myself I was imagining things, that I was being paranoid, that I was just stressed from work. But the thought wouldn't leave me. I started noticing everything. The way she smiled at her phone, the way she disappeared into the bathroom for longer than usual, the way she turned away from me when I tried to kiss her goodnight. Then came the moment that changed everything. I was out with my friend, Eric. We were at a small bar, nothing fancy, just two guys catching up. He could tell something was off with me. He always could. "Man, what's up? You've been quiet all night." I hesitated. I didn't want to say it out loud because saying it would make it real. But Eric wasn't the kind of guy you could lie to. So I sighed, took a sip of my beer, and said it. "I think something's going on with my wife." His face shifted. He leaned in a little. "Like something." I nodded. "I don't know, man. She's been different. Distant. Always on her phone. Going out more." Eric exhaled through his nose, shaking his head. "Look, I don't want to plant anything in your head, but, you ever thought about checking up on her? Just to put your mind at ease?" I scoffed. "What, you mean like following her?" "Dude, that's crazy." "No, not following her. Just, verifying. Checking where she's going, making sure you're not driving yourself insane for no reason. Could be nothing, right?" I forced a laugh. "Yeah, could be nothing." But the seed had been planted. That night, she got a text while we were watching TV. I didn't mean to look, but I caught a glimpse. Just a name, Nicole. "Who's that?" I asked casually. She locked her phone instantly and smiled. "Oh, just an old friend. We're grabbing dinner tomorrow." An old friend. The next evening, she left in a hurry. She was dressed nicer than usual, nothing too obvious, but I noticed. A new dress. A little more perfume than normal. I kissed her goodbye, and she smiled. But her eyes held something else. And then she was gone. I sat on the couch for a long time, staring at my hands, feeling that familiar weight settle over me. I didn't want to be that husband. I didn't want to snoop, to doubt, to turn into someone suspicious and insecure. But something told me, this wasn't just dinner with an old friend. So I grabbed her spare car keys and went outside. I knew modern cars kept GPS history. I wasn't sure if she'd cleared it, but I had to check. My hands were shaking as I sat in the driver's seat, scrolling through the recent locations. And then I saw it. A place I didn't recognize. Not a restaurant. Not a shopping mall. Just an address. She'd been there. Not once. Not twice. But at least 6 times in the past 2 weeks. My stomach turned. I pulled out my phone, copied the address, and pasted it into Google Maps. It wasn't a business. It wasn't a cafe. It was a residential area. A house. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at that little red pin on the map. My mind was racing, coming up with excuses, explanations, anything to convince myself I was wrong. Maybe it was a friend's house. Maybe she was planning a surprise for me. Maybe. But deep down, I already knew. And that was when I made my decision. The next morning, I ordered a dashcam. A small one, barely noticeable. I told myself it wasn't to catch her. No. It was just to prove to myself that I was overthinking. That I was paranoid. Because if I saw nothing, if she really was just running errands and seeing friends, then I could finally let go of this sick feeling in my gut. I could breathe again. I could trust her again. Or at least, that's what I told myself. That night, I barely slept. I lay there in the dark, my thoughts circling like vultures over a carcass, picking apart every interaction, every detail, every whisper of doubt I had ignored for months. I kept asking myself the same question. Am I betraying her, by doubting her? Was I crossing a line by installing that camera? Was I becoming the very thing I hated, paranoid, insecure, the kind of husband who spies on his wife instead of trusting her? Or was I just protecting myself from the inevitable? I stared at the ceiling, listening to the sound of her steady breathing beside me. For a moment, I let myself remember the good times. I remembered the way she used to run into my arms after a long day, wrapping herself around me like I was her safe place. I remembered Sunday mornings, lying in bed with her, tangled up in sheets, talking about our future. I remembered the way she used to look at me, like I was everything. Where did that go? What changed? Or maybe the better question was, when did it change? I turned my head and looked at her. She looked peaceful, innocent. The woman I loved. And for a brief moment, I thought about taking the camera out. Just pretending none of this was happening. But the moment passed. Because deep down, I already knew the truth. The next morning, she woke up earlier than usual. I watched her from the bed as she got dressed. There was a lightness to her movements, a kind of energy I hadn't seen in a long time. She hummed softly as she fixed her hair, checked her phone, and grabbed her purse. Then, just before she left, she kissed me. It was soft, lingering. Something she hadn't done in months. Have a good day, babe, she said with a smile. And just like that, doubt crept in again. Maybe I was just being paranoid. Maybe I'd let my insecurities spiral into something ugly. Maybe I was the problem, and she was just going through a phase, stress, midlife crisis, something temporary. I wanted to believe that so badly. I wanted to believe that this woman, the one who had just kissed me, the one I had built a life with, would never betray me. But then, as she walked out the door, I noticed something. She checked her reflection in the mirror. Smoothed her hair. Adjusted her dress. And then she smiled at her phone. Not just any smile. The kind of smile that was meant for someone. And just like that, my gut twisted. I knew. I sat there, staring at my laptop screen, the small dashcam memory card clenched between my fingers. My heart was pounding. My palms were sweating. My whole body felt tense, like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down, knowing that once I jumped, once I pressed play, there was no coming back. I swallowed hard. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'll see her running errands, stopping for coffee, singing along to the radio like she always does. I needed to believe that. I needed to believe that I was wrong. I took a deep breath and slid the memory card into the reader. The screen flickered, and the first video file appeared. My hand trembled as I clicked it open. The footage was clear. She was getting into the car, dressed just like she had been that morning. She pulled out of the driveway, her fingers drumming lightly on the steering wheel. She looked calm. Normal. I exhaled. See? She's just driving. Nothing suspicious. But then, she made a turn. Not toward the grocery store. Not toward the cafe she always said she met her friends at. She was going the other way. My pulse quickened as I watched. She drove for a while, then slowed down near a street corner. And that's when I saw him. A man. Tall. Dark-haired. Waiting on the sidewalk like he knew she was coming. She pulled up beside him. He got in. No hesitation. No confusion. No, who are you, or, what are you doing? She knew him. And the way they greeted each other. I felt sick. She smiled. Not just any smile, the kind I hadn't seen in years. The kind of smile she used to give me. He leaned in slightly, saying something, and she laughed. Laughed. My chest tightened. I clicked my tongue, trying to steady my breathing. Okay, maybe it's just a friend. Maybe it's innocent. Maybe. But then, as they drove, she reached over. Her hand rested on his leg. And he didn't pull away. I paused the video. My head was spinning. No. No, that doesn't mean anything. Maybe she's just being friendly. Maybe she's explaining something. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But I couldn't look away. I hit play again. They drove for another 10 minutes before she turned onto a quiet, tree-lined road. There were no businesses. No restaurants. No houses. Just an empty lot. She parked. My breath caught in my throat. The car stayed still for a moment. No one moved. No one spoke. And then, she turned toward him. Their faces were close. Too close. She said something, but the camera's mic barely picked it up. Just a soft, hushed whisper. Then came the laughter. Not forced. Not awkward. Real. Intimate. And then, her hand moved again. This time, she touched his face. I clenched my jaw, gripping the edge of my desk so hard my knuckles turned white. No, this can't be real. This isn't happening. This isn't her. I fast-forwarded. Their bodies shifted closer. She leaned in. And then, black screen. I blinked. The footage had cut off. I grabbed the mouse, frantically scrolling. No, where's the rest? What happened next? The camera battery had died. My whole body went cold. I sat there, staring at the frozen black screen, my breath shallow, my vision blurring. I wanted to believe there was another explanation. I needed to believe it. But deep down, I already knew. She wasn't just running errands. She wasn't meeting an old friend. She wasn't mine anymore. And maybe, she hadn't been for a long time. I sat there, staring at my laptop screen, the small dashcam memory card clenched between my fingers. My heart was pounding. My palms were sweating. My whole body felt tense, like I was standing at the edge of a cliff, looking down, knowing that once I jumped, once I pressed play, there was no coming back. I swallowed hard. Maybe it's nothing. Maybe I'll see her running errands, stopping for coffee, singing along to the radio like she always does. I needed to believe that. I needed to believe that I was wrong. I took a deep breath and slid the memory card into the reader. The screen flickered, and the first video file appeared. My hand trembled as I clicked it open. The footage was clear. She was getting into the car, dressed just like she had been that morning. She pulled out of the driveway, her fingers drumming lightly on the steering wheel. She looked calm. Normal. I exhaled. See? She's just driving. Nothing suspicious. But then. She made a turn. Not toward the grocery store. Not toward the cafe she always said she met her friends at. She was going the other way. My pulse quickened as I watched. She drove for a while, then slowed down near a street corner. And that's when I saw him. A man. Tall. Dark-haired. Waiting on the sidewalk like he knew she was coming. She pulled up beside him. He got in. No hesitation. No confusion. No, who are you, or, what are you doing? She knew him. And the way they greeted each other. I felt sick. She smiled. Not just any smile, the kind I hadn't seen in years. The kind of smile she used to give me. He leaned in slightly, saying something, and she laughed. Laughed. My chest tightened. I clicked my tongue, trying to steady my breathing. Okay, maybe it's just a friend. Maybe it's innocent. Maybe. But then, as they drove, she reached over. Her hand rested on his leg. And he didn't pull away. I paused the video. My head was spinning. No. No, that doesn't mean anything. Maybe she's just being friendly. Maybe she's explaining something. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. But I couldn't look away. I hit play again. They drove for another 10 minutes before she turned onto a quiet, tree-lined road. There were no businesses. No restaurants. No houses. Just an empty lot. She parked. My breath caught in my throat. The car stayed still for a moment. No one moved. No one spoke. And then. She turned toward him. Their faces were close. Too close. She said something, but the camera's mic barely picked it up. Just a soft, hushed whisper. Then came the laughter. Not forced. Not awkward. Real. Intimate. And then. Her hand moved again. This time, she touched his face. I clenched my jaw, gripping the edge of my desk so hard my knuckles turned white. No, this can't be real. This isn't happening. This isn't her. I fast-forwarded. Their bodies shifted closer. She leaned in. And then. Black screen. I blinked. The footage had cut off. I grabbed the mouse, frantically scrolling. No, where's the rest? What happened next? The camera battery had died. My whole body went cold. I sat there, staring at the frozen black screen, my breath shallow, my vision blurring. I wanted to believe there was another explanation. I needed to believe it. But deep down, I already knew. She wasn't just running errands. She wasn't meeting an old friend. She wasn't mine anymore. And maybe, she hadn't been for a long time. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the black screen, my mind refusing to process what I had just seen. The laughter. The whispers. The way she touched him. It was all playing on a loop in my head, like a song I couldn't turn off. But I needed more. I needed proof so undeniable, so damning, that even the smallest shred of doubt would be burned away. Because as much as I hated to admit it, there was still a part of me that clung to hope. Maybe it's not what it looks like. Maybe there's an explanation. Maybe I'm wrong. I wasn't. But I needed to see it with my own eyes. So the next night, when she got ready to leave again, same routine, same excuses, same soft kiss on my cheek, I didn't just let her go. I followed her. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. I stayed a few cars behind, just far enough that she wouldn't notice. My heart pounded against my ribs, my breath coming in short, uneven gasps. Don't panic. Stay calm. Just watch. She drove the same route, made the same turn, and just like before. He was waiting for her. Tall. Dark-haired. Confident. Like he belonged there. She pulled up, and he slid into the passenger seat without hesitation. She smiled at him. Not the polite, casual smile you give a friend. The kind of smile that used to be mine. I swallowed the lump in my throat, forcing myself to keep watching. She reached for his hand. Laced her fingers through his. I could barely breathe. The car in front of me turned, and I almost lost sight of them, but I stayed on her tail. 5 minutes later, she pulled into the same secluded spot. My stomach twisted. This was it. This was where the footage cut off last time. This was where I had been left in the dark. But now. I was here. And I was about to witness the truth with my own eyes. I parked a safe distance away and killed the engine. The lot was quiet. No streetlights. Just the faint glow of their dashboard illuminating the inside of her car. I could see their silhouettes. Moving. Leaning closer. Laughing. And then. She touched his chest. My breath hitched. He reached for her, his hand sliding up her arm, fingertips grazing her neck. Their faces were close. Too close. Lips inches apart. And right then, at that exact moment, everything inside me shattered. I felt like the ground had been ripped out from under me. Like I was falling. Drowning. Burning alive. My legs went weak. My hands shook. My vision blurred. I had spent months, years, trying to ignore the signs, convincing myself I was just being paranoid, that she was still mine. But now, watching them, I realized the truth. She hadn't been mine for a long time. And maybe, she never really was. I stumbled back to my car, gasping for air, my whole body numb. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. I wanted to wake up and realize this was all just a horrible nightmare. But it wasn't. This was real. And there was no going back. I drove home in a daze. The road ahead was nothing but a blur of headlights and taillights, streaking past me like ghosts. My hands gripped the steering wheel, but I barely felt them. My foot pressed the gas pedal, but I wasn't really driving, I was just moving. My mind was still in that parking lot. Still watching her. Still watching them. I had proof now. I had everything I needed. But what was I supposed to do with it? Should I confront her? Demand answers? Scream, cry, beg her to tell me why? Or should I say nothing at all? By the time I pulled into our driveway, I still didn't know. I didn't confront her that night. Or the next. Or the one after that. Instead, I withdrew. I shut down. I moved through the house like a ghost, silent, distant, hollow. She noticed. Of course, she did. One evening, as I sat at the kitchen table, staring blankly at my untouched plate of food, she walked up behind me, rested her hands on my shoulders, and said, "You've been quiet lately, everything okay?" Her voice was soft. Concerned. Like she actually cared. I forced myself to breathe. Forced myself to keep my hands steady. Then, without looking at her, I muttered, "Yeah. Everything's fine." She hesitated, her fingers tensing slightly before she pulled away. I felt her watching me. Waiting. Hoping I'd say more. But I didn't. Because if I spoke, if I let out even a single word of what I was really feeling, I might never stop. I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them. Her smile. His hands on her. The way she leaned in, like she belonged to him. It played over and over in my head, a never-ending reel of betrayal, looping until my body was exhausted but my mind refused to rest. I started staying up late, sitting in the dark, staring at nothing. And she noticed that, too. One night, she came into the bedroom after brushing her teeth, wearing the same silky nightgown she used to wear when she actually wanted me. She slid into bed beside me, her hand resting lightly on my chest. I went rigid. My breath hitched. I could feel her warmth, smell the faint traces of her perfume. It was familiar. Comforting. But now, it disgusted me. I couldn't stop thinking about how she had worn that same scent when she was with him. How those same hands had touched him. How those lips had almost. I flinched away. I can't. My voice cracked. It was barely a whisper, but it was enough. She froze. Her hand hovered in the space between us, and for a split second, I thought she was going to ask something. Push for an explanation. But instead, she just let out a soft breath and pulled away. Rolled over. Turned off the light. And just like that, she gave up. She didn't fight for me. She didn't care. And that told me everything I needed to know. I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, feeling like a stranger in my own home. The weight of the truth sat on my chest, heavy and suffocating. My mind spun in endless circles, chasing questions I couldn't answer. What do I do now? Do I confront her? Do I throw it all in her face and watch her crumble under the weight of her own lies? Do I pretend I don't know? Keep playing the role of the clueless, loving husband while she sneaks around behind my back? Or do I just walk away? The thought of leaving felt like an admission of defeat. Like I was surrendering everything we had built together, handing over years of my life to a woman who had never truly been mine. But maybe she never was. Maybe the person I loved was just a version of her I had created in my head. An illusion. And the hardest part wasn't losing her. It was realizing she was never really mine to begin with. For a brief, fleeting moment, I thought about revenge. I thought about making her feel what I felt. There was a woman at work, Sarah. She was kind, attractive, and had always been a little too friendly with me. I could do it. I could lean in when she laughed at my jokes, let my hand linger on her back just a second longer than necessary. I could text her late at night, tell her I needed someone to talk to. I could give my wife a taste of her own poison. Make her wonder. Make her hurt. But then what? Would it make the pain disappear? Would it erase the image of her with him? Would it make me any better than her? No. It would just turn me into the very thing I hated. And I refused to become that. Then there was the other question. Could I forgive her? If she broke down, if she admitted to everything, if she swore it was a mistake, that it didn't mean anything, could I look at her and believe her? Could I ever touch her again without thinking about where her hands had been? Could I ever kiss her without wondering if she was thinking of him? I didn't know. And that terrified me. Because deep down, I wasn't sure I wanted to forgive her. Maybe I just wanted to let her go. I've been sitting with this question for days. Turning it over and over in my mind, like a jagged piece of glass I can't put down no matter how much it cuts me. What do I do now? Do I confront her? Look her in the eye and lay everything out? Watch the panic set in, see her scramble for excuses, for lies, for some pathetic attempt to twist the truth? Do I let her know that I know? That every kiss, every touch, every whispered, "I love you," meant nothing because she was already giving herself to someone else? Or, do I just leave? Walk away without a word? Pack my things in the middle of the night, disappear like a ghost, leave her to wonder if she was the one being watched this whole time? Let her feel the crushing weight of uncertainty, the same way I did. Or maybe, just maybe, should I make her feel it? Should I do what she did to me? Find someone, let her see me smile at my phone, let her wonder where I go when I stay out late. Should I show her what it's like to feel second best? Would that even make me feel better? I don't know. But I know you have an opinion. So tell me, what would you do? Would you confront her? Would you walk away and never look back? Or would you make her feel every ounce of pain she put me through? Drop your thoughts in the comments, I read every single one. And if you want to hear more unbelievable real-life stories like this one, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because trust me, there's more where this came from. Trust is fragile. People say that all the time, but I don't think I ever truly understood what it meant until now. I used to believe trust was something solid, something real, like the foundation of a house, strong enough to hold up everything built on top of it. Love, commitment, family. But now I know the truth. Trust isn't made of stone. It's made of glass. And when it shatters, no matter how hard you try to piece it back together, the cracks will always be there. The shape will never be the same. The edges will always be sharp, ready to cut you when you least expect it. I wish I could say I found some kind of closure. That I made the right choice. That everything made sense in the end. But the truth is, there is no right choice. No matter what I do, I'll never be the same man I was before. I'll never love the same way. Never trust the same way. Because once trust is broken, nothing is ever the same. Nothing.